Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be diving into that all-important TA. In order for a pattern to play out, there must be that same matching positive energy on the other side when it comes to news, momentum, and what is going on with the overall market. Because yes, we are in a sea that is called Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will dictate and determine exactly when we go up and when we go down. Now, like I said, setting the scene here for you guys, the market is currently eyeing a Fed rate cut between the 9th of December and the 10th of December. And they're speaking about key data like Tuesday's job openings and Thursday's jobless claims. And I spoke about this data that was delayed. We were supposed to get a report, I think, in September in regards to everything that's going on with the labor market, jobs, and how many people are really unemployed in the United States. And yes, it's going to have an effect on the overall market. And honestly, there's a lot of positive momentum out there at the moment. Just taking a look at some other stuff here with the situation that really surrounds Michael Saylor, and every time him putting a orange dot on his little chart, and Strategy have just added around 10k bitcoins to their overall holdings, which is again substantial. This is kind of like a flaw, if you will, from my perspective. And there's a flaw of BTC regardless of you acknowledging it or not. There's a price that comes with mining it, producing it, those different kind of things. So it has to stay at a certain price in order for the business to continue. It's kind of like barrels of oil. They do not want it anywhere really above $70, nor do they want it below anywhere close to $50. You want to be hovering in that area. That's kind of the Goldilocks zone. And BTC has a Goldilocks zone when it comes down to its very, very bottom. And I think that's around $80,000 at this stage. Just taking a quick dip over at CoinCU, which is actually a really good news outlet. If you're not using and utilizing this one, definitely add it to your bookmarks. And this is about more regulation, and I spoke about this. The likelihood is regulation is going to come in the form of deregulation. Because we are heavily regulated in a very, very negative way. And this was the whole thing with Operation Choke Point 2.0, which I was speaking about long before President Trump came out and was like, we're ending it. But this Project Crypto regulation, I'm going to be doing a video on it, but this is bullish. This is very bullish. And again, it's setting the scene. It's setting the market. We've got this inverse cup and handle playing out on the BTC chart. And just quickly, for those of you who do not know about this inverse cup and handle playing out, it's going to give you the ability, if you follow it enough, to trade either upwards or downwards. The likelihood is this is going to be a good area to dollar cost average, but it looks like we've got our bottom. It looks like Michael Saylor has signaled that the bottom is now in, and I do expect this to completely reject. It should be bearish, but it's not. It's going to play out, and it's going to be the most bullish move we will see during this halving cycle, and likely the last one before this cycle fully cools off and ends as we push into altcoin season. And in order for that to happen, we need BTC to top out at this upper range. We need the dominance to top out at 70%, and then we're going to need to watch that all drop down and bleed into that lower range where we've seen it drop down to before. And that is then going to signal altcoin season. And again, we as the Terra Classic community need to be positioned. We need to be well informed. If we're well informed, well, then we can trade around this. Not only can we trade around it, we can build around it. From my perspective, a pattern that's going to go up or down. There's no in between with this. It's not just going to track sideways after that. We are going up or we are going down, my friends. So do check out the links at the end of the video if you're looking to get updated on the BTC inverse cup and handle that's playing out at the moment. Now let's move on to the technical analysis for Terra Classic. Now that we've set the scene, we've set the mood, you guys know about the overall market, and you have a better understanding going forward about what we're now going to speak about. Overall, looking at the bigger picture, it's not good. Zooming in, we can look at things in a lot more detail, but I want everybody to really gravitate the situation that we are in and what I spoke about when this pump initially happened. There have been 3 other times of note where we have peaked out, and these in themselves set a trend line going downwards. Not consolidation, not a small blip, a true downtrend. And we have been following this for a significant amount of time, well over 2 years at this point, trailing downwards as an overall price pattern. And this is very important because now you have a 4th confirming that yes, we are in a downward spiral. And this is not beneficial for anyone. It's not beneficial for me as a validator. It's not beneficial for you as a delegate. It's not beneficial for us trying to sell the image, which is Terra Classic, right? You're not exactly going to go out and inspire people with things like this, are you? But looking out at the bigger picture, we have to acknowledge what is currently going on. And that is that we have seen a fourth attempt to break this descending trend line and we have failed. And now we are seeing a rejection coming in. It's not consolidation, it is a rejection. And what we're going to need to do is pay attention to the candles themselves on the day chart as they print out over the next few days and few weeks, and what the external market is also going to be doing. And that's why it's so important for me to set the scene during these videos and not just dive in to the technical analysis. Okay, so let's zoom in and take a deeper look, because we have been presented with an opportunity to, yes, break this descending trend line. We now have an opportunity in front of us which could change absolutely everything. And if you haven't watched my last video where I explained that a lot of the sell pressure might not exist anymore, that we might be in a situation where validators are exhausted, delegates are exhausted, and the only people that have the ability to buy and sell right now are those that have just joined. Of course, we have a far deeper issue with this new validator, which has more voting power now than all nodes, but those two combined with other validators in the top 10 that are simply not building anything or not contributing are, yes, going to be adding to the sell pressure you are currently seeing, because they will definitely have assets ready to liquidate at all times. And I keep really picking on all nodes, but it's all nodes. This new Dutch validator, it's the auto stake validator, it's people like GP, and it's other validators in that list that you can go and you can look that they are not building anything, and if they are, it's likely nothing really to do with LUNC, and they've got their own coin, they've launched their own products, and we are simply just a stepping stone. This is where all of the sell pressure comes from, guys. If it's not coming from those who just bought and sold, then it's coming from these. So let's do some all-important price predictions. And I really don't like to do stuff like this, but I feel like I can gauge this at the moment. I can really give you guys a good estimate of where we're going if things do pan out, if they play out and the price continues rising. What I'm banking on is this previous trend line. And this is very important because this was a very significant time in our history where people tried to get along. People were trying to do stuff as a collective. There wasn't a lot of arguments. Things were very positive with Trump taking over. And yes, that led us to what was the Trump pump, but we also saw the Trump dump after that as well, with all of the tariffs and everything that came in. Now, my price target is up here at that 0.016834 range. And like I said, the reason why I'm saying this is it's a good target. This is a target that was achievable previously. We've been up to this area before, as you can see. I'll grab my brush and we can see peaking out just here before. Yes, we've been higher than this, but we've got to set ourselves a realistic target. Now, the all-important areas for you to pay attention to right now is the first area of resistance that we have. And what I believe is if we push out of this descending triangle, this first line of resistance will flip and instead it will become a line of support. And then next we need to pay attention to the areas where we have previously peaked out before. And there's really not a lot above this. So what I would say is around this area here is pretty significant. As you can see, if I grab the brush, you can see a few times we peaked out back here, pushing along this line here. As you can see, that upwards trend line we were forming, we were seeing small tap outs, small areas of resistance. So again, this gives us our second area, our second target zone. And past this, if we can continue pushing, then yeah, it's going to be up here somewhere. And there's not much to prevent us from going much higher than this if we get up to this area, because again, there's not really any tap outs here. You've got at most 3 or 4 significant tap outs if you want to include this area back here and maybe a little blip back here, because we are looking on the day chart. And then past this, okay, so let's grab those lines back. I went a little bit too backwards for you guys there. Let's grab another horizontal ray. And it's going to be here, guys. If we can fight our way out of this descending pattern into this zone, these are your targets here on the right-hand side. And then your upper target is going to be way up here, but this is dreaming. And I mean really dreaming. These upper 3 targets are going to be hard, let alone pushing out of this descending pattern that's been happening, well, since way back in 2022, if you think about it. Since the very inception of our blockchain, we've been in this overall downtrend. So let's get rid of these drawings here. And now let's go have a deeper look as to what is actually going on right now today as we're recording. And this candle that's coming in is very important, because what we could see is a gravestone doji come in. And if you're wondering what a gravestone doji looks like, well, here's one just back here. seeing that gravestone doji come in, which looks like an inverse dragonfly doji, but they call them gravestone dojis. Now that led us to a significant downwards pattern. As you can see, really losing a lot of our value and almost coming down to the bottom of that big drop from I think it was a 100% tariff on China or something crazy Donald Trump said. Now, with all of that, right now, what we want is a clear close. And when I say a clear close, you really want to be up on this part of that previous candle, because if we get a gravestone come in, well, yeah, the likelihood is this thing's going to keep coming down into the lower range of our current pattern. So this is really important. Now, what we want to really see here is some kind of flag form. And in performing this flag, in playing this pattern out, well, this becomes an area of accumulation. And the likelihood is you'll see a pullback down to this area before it rockets up like that. And I mean, hey, it might even clear past that. You might see some accumulation and then it rockets up again. And then you see another pole form and another flag. And we see that 3 or 4 more times until we finally top out. And I'm saying that because, yes, if we get up into that previous trend line that we was forming before, it's going to be significant. A lot of people are going to pick up on this. And I guess people are picking up on the value that the chain holds because someone has invested so much that they know how much they're going to get back out of the blockchain with what they've currently invested. And this all becomes a mathematical thing of how much they can pull from the chain, right? We need to bring in some real validators that had good enough voting power to really help guide this chain into a better future, a better tomorrow, because there's not going to be anything left. And we won't see a breach out of this area that we've been talking about. Instead, we'll see ourselves rocket down and keep pushing lower and lower and lower. And none of us want to see that, you guys. What we want to see is this pattern play out. What you need to pay attention to today is this candle, as I said. If this prints a gravestone doji, be sure that we're going to keep coming down. And this won't be an area of accumulation. This won't be a pole and flag pattern that plays out multiple times over, as we've seen many times before with many different charts. Very, very bullish. In fact, this is normally seen as the beginning of a god candle pattern playing out. This is how they really begin. So yes, again, we could be looking at really the bottom of a huge move upwards. We've pulled everybody in for this t-shirt, but there's really nothing. No one's really offering anything, but I've got something to offer the entire community. And that's possibly 3 billion USTC that we could go and burn. That is sat on Binance. Oh, on top of that, I've got 5.90% of the overall USTC supply sat waiting for us to burn in 8 Project Dawn wallets. If you want action, stake with the right validators, because people like Greenpeace, people like Allnodes, this new Dutch validator, this auto, they're not doing anything for you, and they're never going to do anything for you. They'll keep feeding you lies, they'll keep decepting you, and you will continue to run around in circles until this chain collapses. You may feel as an individual that you have no power over any validators, but you do with your single delegation. You and like-minded folks can make a difference. But that's all I've got for you for now. I hope you enjoyed that. Real good news there at the end. Yes, go look into this God candlestick pattern, play out the chart, how it really has happened in the past, and then go look at the Lunar Classic chart again. This could be huge, you guys. Stay safe, stay humble, stay aware, and I'll catch you in the next one.